How's it going, everybody? Ask me anything about politics. That is what we are doing here today. So if you got any questions about politics, let me know in the chat, and I will do my best to give you a great answer. I know that politics can be really intimidating if you don't know anything about it. I know that I was really intimidated by politics before I started learning about it, so you don't have to be worried about asking a question that's too simple or that you think, oh, maybe I should have learned this in high school. There's no judgments here. You don't got to worry about that stuff at all. I am just here to answer all of your good faith questions about politics. Oh, excuse me. There's no judgments. There's no debates. You don't got to worry about, oh, if I ask this, he's going to think I'm some sort of squishy libtard cuck, or, oh, if I ask this, he's going to think I'm some sort of MAGA lunatic. But no, you can ask me anything that you like, and so long as you're asking in good faith, I will give you a good faith answer. No Gen Z politics, you may not come up because I don't do any debates or any interviews or anything like that. I am just here to answer questions. Jeremy, thank you for coming to the show in Sacramento. I'm glad you liked it. So yeah, if anybody's got any questions about politics, let me know in the chat. I am here to answer all good faith questions about politics. There's no such thing as a dumb question. You can ask me anything that you like. It can be as simple or as complicated as you like, and I will just do my best to give you a great answer. Mohammed Shafai 55 says, what is your opinion about Donald Trump? Just probably the biggest piece of shit to have ever existed. Kelly Renee says, what news sources do you trust? I think that you should get your news from a diverse, from diverse sources so that you are battling against different kinds of bias. I really like news aggregator sites like Ground News or the Reddit news page because then you're getting, headlines from a bunch of different, sources. I love progressive media because I feel like progressive media is the only news source that is accurate in describing the Republican Party and like what they are up to. And they also, they're not shy about criticizing the Democratic Party when necessary. Holly says, Trump or Kamala? Kamala, every day of the week. Danny Boy says, politics are a joke, just like your opinion. Okay, well, you don't have to be here, buddy. So, all right, having some technical issues here. Let's see here. Moore says, who will Dems run in 2028? Dems will not run anybody, but people will, run in the primary, and then we, the people, will vote on who we want to be the nominee. Life Vibe says, we are all rats on the sinking ship because the climate is what billionaires are paying for. We can stop this ship from sinking. This is not like the Titanic where it's a done deal. We can, go and vote for better politicians who will actually fix problems instead of just making more problems, Mohammed Shafi says, do you have any podcasts? I have old podcasts that I don't do anymore. Like, I had a podcast. I'm a stand-up comedian. I had a podcast where I would work on jokes with my buddies. We retired that podcast, but all the old episodes are still up. And you can find that stuff on our website, jaredbernstein.com. But I don't have a politics podcast at the moment. All right. But thank you for those great questions. You in the live stream early there. Looks like I'm having some connection issues here because I got the little thing that popped up that says I've lost my connection. Well, that is upsetting. Have I lost my connection on TikTok? All right, I'm back. Looks like I'm back. Holly says, I'm so happy for your Kamala. I'm so happy that you're Kamala. I was scared for a second. I try my best to be biased in my recounting of politics. And so, I would hope that nobody would hear that I voted for Kamala and think that doesn't give me any, that removes all of my validity from the things that I'm saying. E says, do you find it a conflict of interest? Over 90% of USA Congress members are dual citizens with Israel. I do not believe that is accurate. 90% of U.S. Congress are dual citizenships with Israel. I don't think that is accurate at all. I feel like that would be a much bigger news story if it was. I will give that a Google, E, but I am extremely skeptical. That sounds like some pretty hardcore anti-Semitic propaganda there. A. Stewart says, Doge is doing us a favor. I disagree with that completely. Doge is cutting programs that help people in the middle class and below. It is the Doge is cutting programs that keep deadly diseases out of our country. Doge is cutting programs that protect us from giant corporations and big banks. Doge is cutting programs that, hurt terrorist organizations. All that Doge is doing is hurting the little guy so that the big guy can stomp on us better. Let's see here. FFSGT Folo says, you vote for Harris? Impossible. No, I voted for Democrats up and down the ballot. El Scrimpimos says, do you have an opinion on the German elections? Yeah, I think it is heartening that we did not see more of a rise in the AfD party, because they are the neo-Schnazi party in Germany right now. The fact that they made any inroads at all is concerning, but I'm glad that if any party was going to win, it was not them. I would, of course, prefer a progressive party than the, more Angela Merkel conservative party. But, you'll take I'll take what I can get, You just don't want to see the Nazi party rising in Germany for obvious reasons. It's complicated the way that their government works, where they have to form a governing coalition now with the three other parties. The Conservative Party has already said that they're not going to form a coalition with the AfD party, which is great news, of course. But we will see how well the extreme left and center left party will get along with the center right party over there. And I think that, the fact that they're having to distance themselves from America because we are aligning ourselves with North Korea and Russia. I think it's going to be interesting. And I hope that will push their government more in a progressive direction, because they will see what, appealing to the far right has done to this country. Zach Ahmed says, pan-holding fool, and also the left is victorious. All right. I want to thank Jim for sharing the live so much. I really appreciate that. Reese said, why did Epic Games and Apple have a fallout? I do not know about that. I don't know what hand-holding is either. CA says, hi back. Let's see here. Gene Bone says, yes, getting rid of government corruption is hurting the little guy. That makes sense. Gene, Doge is not getting rid of any government corruption. Everything that they're saying about what they're doing is a lie. They have already been proven to have lied time and time again. They're inflating their numbers. They are canceling contracts that have already been paid. But yeah, they're closing down USAID and the Consumer Financial Protection Board. All that does is help rich people and hurt the little guy. So I would pray that you get your news from a different source, my man. Let's see here. JT Muncie says, red or blue? I'm a blue fella, so there you go. Castro in Sutro says, what if I just don't care? That's a perfectly valid thing. We've all got other shit going on in our lives besides politics, but I think that people don't understand how much politics can affect their lives, where, if you or someone that you know or someone that you care about, gets rounded up by ICE, even if they are a legal citizen, which has already happened, even if they're a veteran, which has already happened, that is definitely going to affect your life. If you have a family member, or you are a veteran and you just got fired from the government for no fucking reason because Elon Musk is, just doing to the government what he did to Twitter, I think that you would recognize that affects you. If you are a woman who is trying to have a baby in a red state and, there's a pregnancy complication and you need to get an abortion that is going to save your life, but now those doctors can't give it to you, and now that woman is either going to be tortured, going to be infertile, or die because of it, then you will 100% see how politics affects you. So yeah, I encourage everybody to have at least a passing interest in politics, because then they can kind of equate the people that are in charge with the things that are happening in their lives. Stella Bradshaw, 46, says, do you think that Donald Trump will count for what he did to state capitol with the riot? It depends. I do think that accountability is still on the table for Donald Trump, but it's going to be a lot of hard work by people, by the citizens, by us. We are going to have to make sure that Democrats get elected in the midterm elections, in the special elections that are coming up, and we're going to have to retake the White House in 4 years, and then we can start to see some accountability for Donald Trump. But for all intents and purposes, he is essentially going to spend the next 4 years of his life scot-free. All right, scrolling down to the bottom. Sassy Mommy says, do you think Trump will turn us into a dictatorship if he gets his way? You know, he's already working on it. A lot of the chess pieces have been set in the exact right positions for him to turn America into a dictatorship. He is purging the government of anybody who would stand in his way. He is getting rid of career people in the FBI and various government agencies and replacing with people who will just do whatever he says, regardless of whether things are illegal or not. The head of the Department of Defense is a Trump loyalist, and they are firing, the heads of all the various military branches, and they're going to try to replace them with Trump loyalists. I think that should be really shocking and concerning to everybody. Kash Patel is the head of the FBI. That is extremely concerning because he doesn't give a shit about who's doing crimes. He's just going to go after Trump's enemies. And his number two is a fucking psychopathic right-wing podcaster named Dan Bongino, who that position almost always, I'm going to say 100% always goes to a career official at the FBI. This guy he used to be Secret Service, but now he's just a fucking troll. And now he is the second most important person in the FBI. And some people would say the most important because he has a little bit more on the ground, tinkering with who gets investigated and who doesn't. This dude's entire purpose in life is owning the libs. Those are his words, And so the fact that he is not going to be looking out for terrorist attacks, and instead he's just going to be going after, I don't know, Democrats, MSNBC, fucking Jake Tapper, that should concern us all. Sweet Caroline said, oh my gosh, I just saw a video of how unhinged he is. Yeah, he's a fucking psychopath. David Rick Reyes says, hey, your wife's boyfriend said it's time for you to get offline. Well, your mom needs to get off my dick, so see if you can text her. NCNAC1 says, have you suffered from white guilt? I mean, I think that everybody who is white presenting like myself probably has a little bit of white guilt for the fact that our lives are so much easier than it is for people of color. The fact that I've been pulled over by the cops like 5 times in my life and never once was I like worried that I was going to get shot, fucking executed just because I was a brown person. I think that any human being who is white presenting should have some of that, Fran Gooch says, so you're saying Patel is going to do what Biden's FBI did. Gotcha. No, Biden's FBI did not do that. I don't know if you're spreading misinformation or if you just fell for misinformation, but I would just suggest you get your news from somewhere else because there is absolutely zero credible evidence that the FBI was weaponized for the Biden administration. Jim Shantz 10 says, what do you consider... what do you consider... Oh no, I lost that one. Sorry, I lost your comment, buddy. Sorry. Bark says, who is president of the USA right now? Donald Trump. And also Elon Musk, apparently. NSNAC1 says, you aren't white, though, are you? I mean, I'm Jewish, and some people count that as being white, and some people don't. The fact of the matter is that I look like a white person, so I get to enjoy all the privileges of being white. Alrighty, let's see here. Neutsche Gamer says, can you give Trump and Elon one compliment? I mean, I could, but I don't want to, because they fucking suck. Ember says, which way do you lean? To the left. Jim Shantz 10 says, what do you consider yourself politically? I'm a progressive. That's the word that I think most accurately conveys the beliefs that I have in politics, but you can call me whatever you want. You can call me a Democrat, a liberal, a leftist, a socialist, a communist. I don't really give a shit about those kinds of labels. Alrighty, let's see what else we got here. Low Germany says, your reminders that Trump supporters are not the enemy gave me the push to reconnect with my dad. Oh, that makes me feel really happy, Low Germany. I hope that was a pleasant experience and that you were able to sort of push the needle a little bit and maybe make some headway on what you guys can agree on. So yeah, that makes me, I'm glad that my work is having that kind of an effect. Chris says, how do you do, fellow whites? I'm not sure what bit you're trying to do, but I get the meme. All right, scrolling back down to the bottom. Let's see if we got any more questions here. Only Living Boy in Kentucky, good to see you again. How are people still supporting the administration of voting the same way as North Korea on global affairs? So, I don't know if that has the kind of resonance with right-wing voters that it might have with like centrist voters or independent voters. I think that there are some people who are going to look at that as like a giant, alarm bell going off. And hopefully it's enough people. But, as I've said on this channel time and time again, propaganda is a hell of a drug. And so if people are just plugged into the exact right information channels, it does not matter what Republicans do. They will just hear that the issue is Democrats or trans kids or immigrants or poor people, et cetera, et cetera. The Ilmoth over on YouTube, good to see you again. Why do you think Epstein files are still significantly classified? My guess is that people who are extremely powerful are listed in there, potentially our current president. Let's see here. Shot Who 24 says everybody else is leaning. Can I stand up if you like? Mike D says, do you hate America? I don't hate America. I think America is extremely flawed. I think America has an extremely problematic past. But I love the idea of America, and I love the mission of America. I just think that we need to be, I think America needs to do better. All right, scrolling down to the bottom. Esoteric LDS Church says Epstein did not unalive himself. Only living boy in Kentucky because it takes a lot of time to redact Trump's name from the files before release. That's pretty funny. Alrighty. Z says MAGA isn't pro-America. If you support MAGA, you hate America. I mean, that definitely the argument has been made, but you're definitely not going to convince anybody by just telling them that. The Republican Party has done a really good job of branding themselves as the real patriots. And that started a long time ago, and it is going to take a long time and a lot of effort to undo that wiring. Let's see here. Sassy Mommy says, what's the point messing with women's health care? There's a couple of different reasons why. It is a partnership that the Republican Party made with the extreme right, religious zealots who believe in more traditional values and, the subjugation of women. It's an easy vote get for them. If they just say that they're anti-abortion, they suddenly have a whole bunch of, Christians and people who feel very strongly about that issue. But there's also like knock-on effects that they also really enjoy. For example, if a woman is forced to give birth to a child that she can't afford to have, then that woman is now desperate. And when people are desperate, then they have to take any job that they can get, regardless of if they are being sexually harassed or if it's dangerous or demeaning. They have to work extra hours just to make ends meet. They are at the mercy of people who have more money than them, and these people have a lot more money than them, and that's what they like. If people are desperate, they don't have time to organize, they don't have time to protest, they don't have time to vote, they don't have time to get an education. And all of these things help the sort of like the Republican ideology of let us lead you and control you and tell you what the truth is. And you guys just struggle to survive and don't worry about it, but we will have all the power and the money. You guys won't have to worry your pretty little heads about it. All right. Mike D says, when the economy gets better in the next couple of years, will it be thanks to Biden's policies? So Mike D's, when you say when the economy gets better, that when is doing a ton of lifting. I do not believe that the economy is going to get better in the next couple of years. But, there's no need to argue that. We can just sort of like wait and see because, like I said, the election's over. We just kind of have to wait for whatever's going to happen is going to happen. Now, if the economy gets better in the future, we will have to take a look and see at what Trump did. If he reversed things that the Biden administration did that propped up the economy during the last 4 years, if there was some, if the stock market is doing great, but the cost of living crisis gets worse, are you then going to say that the economy is incredible, or will you be one of those people that says, the economy is great on paper, but people are still struggling, the way that lots of people did during the Biden administration? And I agree that cost of living was not fully addressed during the Biden administration, but that's because they only had 2 years with full control of Congress. And then the Republicans came in and they did not let them pass anything. But, they did do work to try to make living more affordable for Americans. They just didn't have enough time, and they didn't have enough people elected to certain seats. Italiana74 says, can we ever recover from this administration? That's a big yes for me, Italiana74. That is a huge yes. And here's the thing, is that Elon Musk and all of his billionaire buddies and Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin, they want you to think that it's game over, that resistance is futile. And so I say as a giant fuck you to those weird-ass fucking dorks that you should believe that it is not hopeless and that you should do the work of changing things, because that is the thing that they want least, you know? And it will make me happy to know that they are upset that we are trying to change things for the better still, and that we have not given up. Z says, I haven't heard one thing Trump or Elon have done. I mean, they've done a ton of things. They've done a ton of really bad things. I can start listing them off if you like. Let's see here. I actually do have a list written. Let's see here. They are using the government to punish news organizations that report stories that they don't like. They did a quid pro quo with the mayor of New York City, Eric Adams. They you know, like took away some of Eric Adams's charges, you know, but in exchange for him being one of their lackeys. They fire the employees who fulfill Freedom of Information Act requests, so they have made the government less transparent and more opaque. Republicans introduced a bill to remove the 30-day eviction notice requirement. You can look that up. That's Senate Bill 470. So basically, if you have a shitty landlord who wants to evict you, he doesn't have to give you 30 days notice anymore, and so you don't have time to go to housing court and try to fight that eviction notice. Let's see here. Republicans have proposed a bill to ban Plan B. Gas and food prices are going up. Their proposed tax plan is another giant giveaway to the top 1%. Let's see here. They have disbanded the FBI team that is in charge of fighting foreign election interference. They stopped work at the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which is a organization that protects the 99% from the top 1%. Let's see here. They left the World Health Organization, and they put a gag order on the CDC and the NIH, and they cut their funding. So that is this is an absolutely perfect time to be doing that, considering that we've got bird flu and a TB outbreak and a polio outbreak all happening at the exact same time, and we're no longer screening people for Ebola that are coming from Ebola hotspots like Uganda. So yeah, you know, there's just a couple of things that Republicans have already done so far. OBS Mark says, how do you feel about how Vance has been doing? He's a fucking nightmare. The dude is out there parroting fucking Russian Nazi propaganda and trying to spread that to Europe as well. Like, what the fuck is that dude's problem, man? He's smart enough to know that what he's doing is bullshit. He's an opportunist. He is trying to cement himself as like the next MAGA, you know, like Prince or whatever, by going out there and doing Trump's bidding. It's fucking pathetic. And I hope that the people in Europe are smart enough to realize that he's completely full of shit. Let's see here. Let's get back into these comments. DJC Wisdom says, did the Republican budget pass through on the vote today? I did not see any information on that. I did not see if there was any progress on that. The last thing I heard was that there were certain deficit hawks that were demanding cuts to Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security in order to pay for their tax cuts for the billionaires. But then there are other people who are worried about getting reelected who do not want there to be cuts to Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. So, you know, it's anybody's guess how that is all going to shake out. But I will always put money on, Republicans doing the wrong thing. Let's see here. Joni Fluna over on YouTube. What's going on? Vance is an opportunist. I hear this a lot. What should I look into to better understand why people are saying this? So there's a huge disconnect between the things that J.D. Vance did and said before he started getting tapped to be the vice president under Donald Trump, and the things that he did after he became tapped to be the vice president for Donald Trump. So, for example, he is quoted as saying that Donald Trump is like a fascist or wants to be a Hitler or some shit like that. I don't remember what the exact quote was. And now he's just completely reversed course, and he's like, oh my God, Trump, he's the prince, he's the god, all hail this fucking dude, you know? So yeah, I would just look into shit like that, like look at the obvious hypocrisy in the things that he is doing and saying. Amanda Borealis says hello over on Twitch. Hello, Amanda Borealis. Noiche Gamer says, what is wrong with fighting wasteful spending? like millions of dollars being spent on magic, in quotation marks. So that story has already been debunked. I believe that was a town called Magic that they had been, using funds for, So yeah, they're not uncovering any waste, Neutsche Gamer, and I would encourage you to get your news from a different source, because all of the the bulletin points that Elon Musk is pointing out as far as like things that they're getting done, they're all provable lies, and the ones that aren't lies are, like gross exaggerations. Like they're saying that we saved 20 billion on this program and it's actually like 3 million or something like that. So yeah, there you go. Matt M says people believe that magic thing, that's unreal. People believe the fucking Hamas condoms thing, Let's see here. Neutsche Gamer says, what town is called Magic? I need proof. This kind of feels like the kind of thing you could Google by yourself, Neutsche Gamer. So, I'm not going to stop my live to do that for you. But, I'll tell you what, if you can't figure it out by the time this live is over, send me a DM, send me an email through my website, and I'll see if I can find you a link to check out. Amanda Borealis over on Twitch says, it was for a child science center, not for magic. So that's a little bit more direction for you, that it was for a child's science center. Joni says, thanks, love your stream. I love you, Joni. Roberto Castro II says, I just jumped on to, so excuse me for this topic, but what do you think would be the best way to combat this narrative that federal employees working day to day are the problem? I mean, that's a really difficult question to answer, Robert, because fighting the narratives is the big goal, is the huge problem of our current political moment. If people read the news, then they are more likely to vote for Democratic voters by a factor of like 80 to 20. So the voters that we need to win elections are the people that get their news off of social media. And that just happens to be the majority of Americans. So the social media platforms are really easy to manipulate if you have a lot of money and power, in addition to the fact that they are owned by people who really want Republican politicians to do well in elections. So it's difficult. It's very, very difficult. We can talk our heads off about, these are people who are just trying to do work. You are championing American citizens just getting fired. You're championing veterans being fired. Like government jobs, when they're hiring for government jobs, they give preference to veterans. So a lot of these jobs are being held by veterans. So what Elon Musk and Donald Trump are doing right now is just mass firing veterans. Additionally, all the savings that they think that they are getting us by firing all these people, it's like we're getting less for it. It's like I can save you a ton of money if I just don't let you spend any on food or rent or anything like that. But you'll be living on the street. But think about how much money you'll be saving. But yeah, how do we get that message through to people? Like that is the question for the age, and it's part of the reason why I do these lives, to try to reach people and tell them what the truth is, but also to encourage people to talk to the people that they know, because that has a lot more weight to it than, just some random fucking ding dong on TikTok saying this shit. Or even if I could, talk to people, I knock on everybody's doors and tell them the truth, but I'm just some schmo. So, who the fuck, why would they trust me? So you just got to talk to the people that you know. You got to talk to your friends, your family, your neighbors, your coworkers. Like that is how the work of convincing is going to happen. Because we can't just put out a video on social media and hope that goes so viral that it changes people's minds. Like we have to do the work. We have to do the work, and we all have to do it. But here's the good news: is that if we all do the work, then nobody has to do a lot of work. So I did 4 canvassing shifts and 2 phone banking shifts for the last election. But if we had more people working, then maybe I only got to do 2 canvassing shifts going forward. That would be really helpful. I would really like that. That would be nice for me. Diretix says, how will the USPS respond if Elon and his task force enters the USPS headquarters? Will there be a shootout? I mean, a shootout between the post office and, because USPS is the Postal Service, right? Or did you mean USPIS, which I don't know what that organization is. Oh, because Postal Service workers, yeah, that old joke. Is that still a joke? Are we part of the same generation that we remember when that was a joke? Because post people would just lose their mind every once in a while and shoot up their own fucking stores or whatever. It's gonna be the exact same as every other government agency that they have successfully defunded or kneecapped or fired a bunch of people from, and they're going to be illegally, cutting funds and firing people and, giving stop work orders, and then people will sue and the judge will tell them you got to stop doing that, and sometimes they do and sometimes they don't, and it's just the kind of thing that we got to keep our eye on because, we have to continue to put pressure on the people who are supposed to be looking out for us. And, I'm heartened by all of these people that I'm seeing at town halls yelling at their Republican representatives, and do not look at those and think, okay, sweet, someone is doing the work. Like, we all need to do that work. Let's build on that. Let's fucking, let's not win this by like half a percentage point. Let's win this by like an indisputable, fucking blowout. Let's make this like the fucking Super Bowl, all right? We're the Eagles, Let's us be the Eagles and win this fucking game by like 50 points or some shit like that. Let's see here. Amanda Borealis over on Twitch says, it's anger here in Germany as the AfD are fascists and Elon Musk is supporting them. Most people, except more morons, hate them. Yeah, Amanda, so you're in Germany. Are you doing the work? Like, are you trying to convince people that AfD is a problem and that we need to be building more support for the, the other three parties out there? Herr Pete says, question from over the pond, how do you sit with the U.S. voting alongside China, Russia, and North Korea? I feel terrible about it. I mean, but I knew that this was going to happen. I've been fucking clued into the Trump bullshit for, over 8 years now. And so, yeah, this is what I was warning people was going to happen, but nobody fucking listened to me, I guess. All right, scrolling down to the bottom of my TikTok comments. Ms. Obvious says AfD was rejected. It was, but they did better in this election than they did in the last election. So they are more popular than they were, and that is concerning. Let's see here. The USPS issues passports. The executive branch will be in control of processing passports. That is another possible issue. Diurtic, absolutely. Where Donald Trump and Elon Musk are trying to exert total control over the government and eliminate checks and balances and accountability and oversight. Like, it's the kind of thing that we just got to keep our eye on and make sure that we're yelling at the right people in power and make sure that we are talking to our friends and our family and our neighbors and our coworkers so that we are winning the special elections that are coming up and the midterm elections coming up. The special elections that are coming up in the midterms are like the entire ball game, I think. Like, it has to be a fucking shutout. And the work for that started yesterday, So like, join me and making sure that we fucking take back the House and potentially the Senate. And we do it by such a large margin that it is unequivocal that this is not what America wants. And this is not the way that our government is supposed to work. So yeah, if you live in a purple district, if you live in a red state, if you know people who are centrists or independents or even, independent, curious Republican voters, like, do the work, help us all out and do the work. Let's see here. Herr Pete says, less a comment and more a statement, but the general feeling in the UK is that the US is no longer a reliable ally right now. That is, unfortunately, an extremely accurate sentiment, Herr Pete. It's the Rocketeer over on Twitch. Good to see you again. Do you think that the Dems can stay solidified on not helping ours with the spending bill, or will Fetterman bend the knee? Fetterman's being weird. I don't know what is up with that dude, but he was campaigning as this great, like, working class progressive hero, and he's said some things and done some things that are very disappointing. I don't write off anybody who is a Democratic vote, because one more Democratic senator means that we are one vote closer to having that gavel, and having that gavel is 90% of the power in the Senate. So yeah, I will 100% take a Joe Manchin back. But we have to have other people in seats so that we can outweigh the power of his vote. So yeah, it's a fucking bummer, man. It's a real fucking bummer, and it's very concerning. I worry about Democrats in more conservative districts thinking that they have to vote with Trump in order to try to save their seat. I'm worried about Democratic politicians who are scared for their life and their well-being and their safety, because people that go against Trump have a habit of getting on the radar of these really violent fanatics who are constantly calling in death threats, and people gotta get private security and shit like that. It's a fucking nightmare, man. I don't think anybody should have voted for the guy that was, incentivizing their followers to be violent. Let's see here. Yeshua Sparks says, "You look like how I imagine Paul from the Bible looks." Cool, I guess. I don't remember any Paul-specific stories, but I guess I'll take it, Miss Obvious One says, "Virginia is going blue. Youngkin couldn't be helping us any better. Most government jobs lost here." From your lips to God's ears, Miss Obvious, but, people have a way of forgetting important facts like that when it comes time to cast a ballot. So we really have to make sure that people remember the chaos and the, throwing people out of their fucking jobs that they moved someplace for or that they were counting on for their income. Veterans who want the stability of a regular job to fucking combat their PTSD. And they also cut, they cut funding for the Department of Veteran Affairs, their self-harm prevention team. So now they don't even have those people that they can go to for help. Mike Dees said, "Why should our taxpayers' money go to drag shows in Venezuela?" Mike Dees, again, that's another lie that Elon Musk and Doge is purporting. So I would hope that you would get your news from a different source, because that's all bullshit. Let's see here. Aaron says, "Comments on the White House website archiving the Constitution page." I wonder, they don't seem like a particularly urbane group of people, so I don't know if they are, archiving the Constitution on the website as like part of a complicated psyop. I think it's probably much simpler than that, and they're just getting rid of as many things as they possibly can. And so yeah, I don't want to give them credit for that. Maybe there's one Doge boy who knows that he is trampling on the Constitution and thinks that he's like, doing something really cute and clever by archiving that. But yeah, I wouldn't. There's a million other things to be upset about before I get upset about that. Hair Pete says, "Is there anyone left working in the U.S. government?" There's lots of people still working in the U.S. government. The problem is that the people who have all the power are doing bad work. Platinum Soldi says, "By 2030, I expect U.S. arms exports to be non-existent almost to the rest of NATO. Do you think the MAGA crowd will blame Trump or the rest of NATO?" So there's a difference between like the MAGA crowd and general Republican voters, because there are a lot of like very decent people in both of those groups. The MAGA crowd, they probably are a little bit too, plugged into right-wing propaganda channels to ever blame Trump for any negative thing that ever happens to them. Yeah, if you are getting all of your news from like Ben Shapiro and Tucker Carlson, Trump could literally be taking a shit into your mouth, and you could be convinced that the shit is coming into your mouth from Trump's butt because of immigrants. So yeah, I am skeptical about that, and but I think that if we are mobilized in reaching out to people and not being dicks to them and really, engaging people in the kind of conversations that change minds, or maybe doesn't even change minds, but just pushes the needle a little bit, then maybe we can drag some of these people out of their fucking echo chambers. Robert Castro II, government employee still working here. I'll keep my fingers crossed for you, my man. Stay safe out there. All right, back into the TikTok comments. Jody AG says, "With martial law, what happens to law enforcement? Do they join?" I mean, that is the big question right now, because they are working to purge the Department of Justice, the FBI, the Department of Defense from anybody that would have any kind of moral foundation. Anybody who believes that their allegiances to the Constitution and the country before their allegiances to Trump, they're getting rid of those people. Now, some of those people are going to be hard to find. Some of the people are going to be easier to find. But they are just axing lawyers and department heads like left and right. There was a time around the time of the insurrection when I was worried about what side the New York police were going to fall on. And I was heartened to discover that they did not, just start like parading through the street and, kneecapping lefty voters or whatever. But yeah, it's really terrifying. It's like, I don't know if you guys have seen that meme of Matthew McConaughey from True Detective, like taking a fucking drag of crystal meth or fucking whatever, and he's all fucking strung out like crazy. And the meme is like, you know, all of us waiting to see which side the military will fall on in the coup. And it's like, yeah, man, it's fucking real. You know, if you know somebody who is in the military, like, make sure you are talking to them and making sure that they know that if they do the right thing, that we will have their backs. And I don't think that anybody should be resigning right now. That was a big conversation that was happening during the first Trump administration. Like, do you resign in protest? Do you stay? But if you stay, it makes it seem like you're complicit and that you are endorsing what is happening. I say stay. Because as much as you can, you know, put a wrench in the gears, the better that we will all be. You know, make sure that we need more Oscar Schindlers in the military who are making sure that the bullets are, you know, incorrectly calibrated so that nothing ever fires and shit like that. That's what Oscar Schindler did with his factories. If you haven't seen the movie, spoiler alert. All right, Italiana says 21 employees resigned from Doge, refusing to discriminate critical public services. I mean, yeah, you know, I can't fault people for resigning, but I don't think people should, because we need to have people in those agencies. We need to have our fucking sleeper agents doing the right thing. What's up, Audra? How's it going? Let's see here. All right. Kudzu Granny-Witch says psychopaths don't actually tend to play well with others. I mean, yes, and I have heard that opinion expressed by people. It's very optimistic that these all these fucking psychopaths are going to tear each other apart with their varying, you know, jockeying for positions and, you know, different motivations and shit like that. I'll believe it when I see it, and I'm not counting on it. I don't think that we should count on the Republican Party self-destructing as our savior going forward. I think we need to recognize that. I think we need to operate as though the only thing that is going to stop them is us. That is one of my big bullet points. Your live contains themes that some may find uncomfortable and has been restricted. Well, that's what happens sometimes. My live does not mention the content mentioned in the notice. That happens sometimes because people on the right like to report my channel because I tell the truth. Let's see here. Noiche Gamer says, do you support the war in Ukraine? If not, why are you against ending it? So I'm not against ending the war in Ukraine, but I am for Ukraine over Russia, because Russia started this for no fucking reason other than Vladimir Putin is a fucking psychotic dictator who wants to reconstitute the Soviet Union and begin taking over European countries and shit like that. They are part of the old version of, you know, the global order that says that there shouldn't be a United Nations and there shouldn't be NATO and there shouldn't be, you know, trade alliances. It should just be, you know, fucking winner take all, every man for themselves, only the strong survive, big countries eating up little countries, and then eventually there gets to be one global world ruler when, America and Russia finally have all the territory, then they can fight it out amongst themselves, and then whoever wins gets the whole enchilada, shit like that. I want the war to end, but that is completely up to Vladimir Putin, because he just keeps on sending, prisoners and North Korean troops into Ukraine to fuck shit up. And I don't think that that's right. I don't think that we should turn a blind eye to nations, especially extremely powerful nations like Russia, attempting to annex other sovereign nations. That seems like bullshit to me. All right. Bo Italy says, if Elon can hack into our government systems, he can hack our elections. Russian tail. I don't know what that Russian tail thing is. I've seen it twice now. People can believe that Elon hacked the computers. People can believe that Russia hacked the computers. Like, it doesn't really change anything at this point. I haven't seen any evidence that happened, and I would encourage people not to spread conspiracy theories without that kind of substantive evidence. But, I guess I don't really see an issue with people thinking that that is a possibility. Noiche Gamer says, that isn't Trump's position. Trump wants peace. That is inaccurate, Noiche Gamer. Don't you think it's weird, Noiche Gamer, that he had a peace conference without Ukraine? Don't you think it's weird that, Pete Hegseth was out there, giving Russia everything that they wanted without any, concessions from them whatsoever? Do you think it's weird that when the Trump administration was asked, like, what concessions has Russia made in this peace deal, they weren't able to come up with anything? Like, don't you think that's weird? Let's see here. Lizard One King says if Europe would aid Ukraine and Trump responds with the U.S. supporting Russia, then we protest here. Don't know what the rest of that comment is, unfortunately. Let's see here. Jody AG says if they need more military, they will take prisoners with 10-year sentences or less will join. Are you talking about, because they're doing that in Russia right now, I think. Are you talking about them doing that here in America? That's terrifying, man. Let's see here. By protesting and marching to condemn Putin and Russia would put Trump on the spot. I mean, I think that Russia should be doing that a lot, but I know that's a really dangerous thing for people to do in Russia because fucking Putin's a killer. Alrighty, let's see here. Noche Gamer says that is because Zelensky doesn't want peace. War, let's stay in power and steal as much as he wants. Noche Gamer, you're being very respectful, and I appreciate that. You're not just out here calling me a cuck. But I do not believe that what you just said was accurate, and I would encourage you to get your news from somewhere else. Zelensky said that he's willing to step down if there was no war going on. He is just defending his own borders, and he does not believe that it is right that Russia just takes territory from them. He has the support of a majority of Ukrainians. They want him to continue doing this fight. Even his main political rival is like, this is not the time for a fucking election. So, I wonder where you're getting all these bullet points, all this news, because it is pretty inaccurate, homeboy. Let's see here. Jim Lutz Music over on Twitch says, would you say that Red Hats, Kleptocrats, and Old Guard are somewhat separate factions? And if they're not, how can we best use that to our advantage? So there are different factions within the Trump administration. I do not have faith that it is going to tear itself apart the way that other people do. That is part of the optimism that I've heard from reporters like Chris Hayes, who've said that they believe that the pulling apart of various interests, the more conservative members of the Republican Party versus the centrist members versus the MAGA members versus the tech oligarchs versus the the RFK Jr. types, that's going to completely stall the Trump agenda. I don't know. I'll believe it when I see it. And I think that we should be operating as though that is not going to happen. Because what's the worst thing that can happen? That we all get activated and organized and get people to vote for Democrats and the Republican Party implodes? That's great. That's great. But the worst thing that can happen is that we wait for the implosion to happen and it never does. Let's see here. Okie dokie. Noche Gamer says, I watch a wide spectrum of Western and Russian media. I mean, that makes perfect sense to me that you're watching Russian media because it's state-run media. That's all fucking right-wing propaganda right there. Let's see here. Noche Gamer, yeah, but he isn't making peace because of that. He won't be in power with no war. Again, he doesn't have the power to stop this war unless he just completely surrenders, which, if I was a fucking Ukrainian, I wouldn't want him to fucking do, Jim Let's Music says, are there wedge issues we can exploit to help the implosion along? I don't know, man. I think that the best thing that we can do is continue to put political pressure on Republicans who are currently in government, and hopefully that will be the wedge issue. People yelling at their representatives in these town halls is already having an effect. We are seeing some, Republicans in Congress saying they think that Elon Musk is going too far and they don't want Medicaid and Medicare touched and stuff like that. So if I was gonna say that was if there's any way to exploit those divisions, it is putting that kind of political pressure on Republican representatives. Jim Let's Music says, Drill Baby Drill versus Tesla. Yeah, I don't think that that's going to be the wedge issue that we hope it to be. Let's see here. Jody AG says, I think Trump made a deal to give the U.S. to Putin, my opinion. I mean, there's that seems like the 15-year plan as opposed to the 4-year plan. But yeah, I mean, they want to weaken America so that America is no longer the sort of moral center of the globe, and we can just return to a state of fucking empires and aristocracy, shit like that. Let's see here. Okay. All right. Well, it looks like things have calmed down a little bit, so I'm going to do my outro. And, if anybody has any questions, you cut out, I didn't hear your response. Oh, no. What was that question that you asked? I think Trump made a deal with Putin to give him America. Yeah, I mean, giving him to America is the thing that I was like, maybe, maybe not. It is sort of a long-term plan. I think that, oh, no, can nobody hear me on TikTok anymore? Can nobody? Am I not? Can you not hear me? Anybody on there? Let me know if this is just a Jody issue. All right, Miss Obvious can hear me. Okay, fantastic. Okay, so yeah, well, I'm going to do my outro because oh, wait, hold on a second. I got a great comment here before I do my outro. Real Deals says, why does the left dislike Trump? Well, Real Deals, Trump is doing a lot of illegal things and hurting a lot of people. He is only operating in a way that helps him and his billionaire buddies. He's a racist. He's corrupt. He steals our tax dollars. And he's just a really shitty person who's also been credibly accused of raping like a couple dozen women, one of whom was 13 years old at the time. So yeah, those are all a bunch of really great reasons to dislike the guy. Alrighty, so I am going to do my outro. And if you have any final questions, stick around to the end and ask away. But I want to thank everybody for being here. I want to thank everybody for joining the live, for all of your great questions and all your great comments. It is your support that makes it so that I can continue to do these lives, and I love doing these lives. If you have a question that I was not able to get to in this live, my DMs are open, and also you can email me through my website, jarrettberenstein.com. I appreciate any support that you can give me, whether it is the free kind, like liking and sharing and telling everybody how great my lives are. If you can afford to do the financial kind of support, I appreciate that as well, but you don't have to. We're all suffering through a cost of living crisis. But yeah, I have a Patreon that you can find on my website, jarrettberenstein.com. I got 2 patrons right now, fucking doubling in size. Hell yeah. I've also got a store that you can buy stuff from, which is jarrettberenstein/store. And let's see here. You can send gifts on TikTok and Twitch and maybe YouTube, but I don't know if it's also on YouTube. My normal schedule is Tuesday through Friday, starting around 11:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. But I am on tour right now for the next 2 weeks, so my schedule is going to be much more erratic. So you just got to kind of keep your eyes peeled for that. But I hope that you will subscribe and stay posted and, just keep your eyes peeled. I don't know if you can tell I'm a little more tired doing these lives now when I'm on the road than I am when I'm at home. I don't know who Raleigh Williams is, Jim Lutz, but he sounds cool. Definitely, what do you call it? Send him a message, fucking link us up, my man. What do I always usually say in my outros? But I'm so fucking tired now from doing stand-up. Let's see here. Yeah, my DMs are open if you have any questions. Not Jake. These spicy peppers, I really appreciate those, my man. And just my heartfelt plea to all of you guys to not be despondent and to not be cynical. They want you to give up. They want you to think that this is hopeless. So send a giant fuck you to all those weird-ass fucking dorks and billionaire assholes who got their fucking gold diamond-crusted boots on their necks and they're fucking stomping us and squeezing us to make our lives all fucking miserable. Send them a giant fuck you by doing the work to take our country back from these rich fucking assholes. Like, you want me to believe that resistance is futile? Well, suck my fucking butthole, you piece of shit. All right? Let's all do the work. And if we all do the work, then nobody has to do all the work. You got to talk to your friends, your neighbors, your coworkers. Join groups that are already doing this work. Indivisible, Run for Something, and Vote Save America. Follow AOC and Bernie Sanders. Seems like they've got their finger on the pulse of Resistance 2.0. Do not acquiesce. Do not do what they tell you to do before they force you to do it. That's why I say don't resign. Make them fire you and shit like that. Be creative. You gotta. The really effective protests, they take advantage of the advantages that we already have. So if you know somebody who works at these government agencies, if you know people who work in the military, like those are the people that you need to reach out to and make sure that they are on the right side of history here. But yeah, just do the work, guys. Just do the work. Do as much as you can, and then if everybody does, then we'll get through this. We'll get through this, and we'll take care of each other. All right, let's see if there's any good final questions here. April 5th needs each city needs a march and a sit down. Yeah, there's the group 5051. Seems like they are organizing great protests around the country. 5051 is great. Let's see here. February 28th, there's a blackout. No spending on February 28th. Do I have a show on February 28th? I sure hope I don't. I would love to participate in that. Alrighty. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you all for all the support on here. Diane Jackson says, it's frustrating when someone is messing with your live or with your life. I'm not really sure what you were getting at there, Diane Jackson. But yeah, those are both very frustrating. Not Jake says, do you know why Americans have become Russian lovers? Because Trump told them to. And Trump told them to because Putin told him to. So there you go. All right. Thank you very much, everybody. I'm going to get out of here. I got a show tonight and a long drive tomorrow morning. So everybody have a great rest of your Tuesday, and keep your eyes peeled for the next time I pop on here. And thank you again. All right. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. Goodbye, 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 goodbye. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye.